Hi,
My name is Jenny.
and my name is Darius, and welcome to
The
Bloomin'
Bloomin'
Onions.
Onions.
This is a show where we like to peel back the layers of being politically correct, and so you can have a raw and honest conversation amongst friends. And we hope that you learn just as much as we learn as we go through this process.
So thank you for being here with us. We want to talk about today how life is being an introvert. We will touch on the differences so that it's not just for introverts, or how we were as a child, how it affects our careers and our relationships, romantic and otherwise.
I personally believe that I am an introvert who learned to function as an extrovert to get what I want. Yeah, in times where it was appropriate. Right. But I realized that being quote unquote extroverted is so draining to my being that I was like, this isn't a natural setting. And then I started meeting so many extroverts. It's not the default setting of my life. Because then when I met true extroverts, they are the exact opposite. Right. They actually gain and thrive from social interaction. And I'm sitting here like, when do I get away? And I think being an ambivert would be in a place where both give me, like, I can be filled around people, I can be filled around not being around people. I don't have that. And I tell, like, I love my friends to like I love Jenny. Anybody knows that, I love Jenny. But even around someone, thank you. Like, even being around someone like her, I always say it's being around close friends, it drains me. It doesn't drain me, it drips me. So it's like, I don't feel exhausted talking to her or anybody like that because I'm dripping and I don't notice it as quickly.
And it isn't this like waterfall or a rush of drainage out of you. That's
absolutely weird, no, but that's really what it feels like. And once I realized that, I said, oh, okay, I'm not really
that's not
or an extrovert. Yeah,
I mean, but that's because now I don't know what I'd consider myself. I don't, by that definition, I don't get energy out of interacting with other people or large groups, especially not large groups of people. But and I definitely feel drained and I definitely have to like recover. But at the same time, I do find myself, I think I'm just a very open introvert maybe. I mean, if that's weird, but I'm not, because I'm not open unless I trust you. Yeah. But it's okay.
Hence the name Bloomin' Onions.
Right.
Peeling it back, you know.
Right. But I also, boy, if you don't not stop that damn phone.
I was trying to find the definition of introvert for the people. She had put me on blast.
Pull it
so
up
by this definition, an introvert is a shy, reticent person.
Okay. And
then adjective, another term for introverted, which is denoting concerned principally with its own affairs, inward looking. Then they define extroverted as an outgoing, overtly expressive person. Nah, bruh.
Well, shit, maybe I am.
As most people believe that an extrovert is a person who is friendly and outgoing. While that may be true, that is not the full meaning of extroversion. An extrovert is a person who is energized by being around other people. This is the opposite of an introvert who is energized by being alone. Ladies and gentlemen, I am an introvert because
I think I might go back and be an ambivert. Can you look that
up? Oh, yeah. Well, now they're calling it omnivert. Did they change it? Hold on. Of being both.
Oh.
Well, see, but no, if you look up ambivert, a person whose personality has a balance of extrovert and introvert
That would
features.
be the one time in my life that my personality has a balance. What area?
It says, what's the difference between an omnivert and an ambivert?
Okay.
Learning something new while we're talking about it. An ambivert is someone whose overall behavior is between introversion and extroversion. An omnivert is someone who can be either at different times.
Oh, then yeah, maybe I'm an omnivert.
I'm not gonna lie.
Instead of envy, yeah. That makes sense.
That actually would make sense knowing you.
Yeah.
That actually makes more sense.
That does. Because there are moments, and I tend to lean into the introvert side because I do prefer to recharge on my own. I love thinking. Well, not overthinking, but I do love trying to understand and make sense of the world, so much so that sometimes it stifles me and it just sort of freezes me from actually engaging in the world, which is not the goal. So then I go out, and when I go out, I do have a tendency to do so in an extroverted way. So that actually makes a lot more sense.
Really cool. I'm still gonna stick with the fact that because I actually I did not know Omnivert was a thing.
Yeah.
So I think the reason is because I don't.
I'm
While
everyone.
I'm extroverted. If ambivert is being between the two, I'm not. And then omnivert, because I can be either at different times.
Yours is with people, I think, more so than at time. Like it's a more reactionary thing, comfort thing than it is you being who you are. You know what I mean?
And I've seen you. I do believe you actually do gain a level of energy around certain people.
And then I recharge for like 4
days.
days.
And then you'll be ghost for like a week. But like I don't actually can't say that I get energy and charge. It's just that there are people that I'm around that don't, because they drip me, I have a lot to give for a longer period of time. But because Lord knows when I'm around, like large groups.
When you're around
who is that? As a child, I'm extremely shy. And I had stage fright, so that's kind of what. I had really bad stage fright, actually. And I remember my first solo, because it was with my mom, and it was a song called Take Me Back. I think Andre Crouch sings it, don't quote me. But I remember I got so scared. I barely got through it. My mom had to finish the rest of my part.
I remember you telling me a story.
And so like that fear never really went away, honestly, until like high school. I didn't know how to manage that. So it's like, even though I love to sing, I hated to sing in front of other people.
Did you continue to do it though? Until like
I would force myself, but it would take a lot of work.
Right.
Like I would be fine by myself. Yeah. And honestly, that's part of what I discovered to get over it was
having a
practice and a routine of things. So like, but then it's like, so I noticed I was shy when it came to like making friends. Like I never had birthday parties growing up because I was afraid that no one would show up, or like I was afraid of being around too many people in the center. So it was always like this, I had a natural inclination, maybe through fear, I don't know, of being away from people. Even with my family, like I would be around my family, but then I would also just be in my room a lot. And then I think that fed my imagination to a degree, because I started creating worlds that I lived in.
I dove into music and books because they were just these ways to see outside worlds within a safety sort of net.
Because there was a sense of control.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that's kind of been, at least childhood-wise, that would be my story. It was just a common theme of I was afraid to rock the boat because I was like, who's going to draw attention to me? I was scared to do this. Who's going to draw attention to me? And I was like, I just found so much comfort by myself. But what was yours like?
My relationship, like in family, a lot of us feel like we're the outcast, or our family doesn't understand this or something. And so for me, that was my role for sure, at least the way I remember it and felt it. And so but I struggled for a very long time with being okay with the fact that then I would go to school, or then I would go to drill team or dance or soccer or something, and then like really excited, and then I'd go home and say nothing. I'd be in my room for hours and hours and hours.
Facts.
And now I understand it as a part of just I am somebody that has a yin yang within myself.
It's kind of like when I got here today, and I was like, I haven't talked to anybody in like 2 days. Right. So when I saw you, it was like, blah, 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 blah. And like, but I noticed that being the way that I am, because I'm so in thought so much all the time, because I'm just by myself, when I do get around people, like you said, that don't drain me, that I feel safe to just talk, I can't shut up.
Literally, it's why most of our friendship, because I've lived alone for all of our friendships, so I don't have, except like my ceiling. That was a little too hard.
Sorry, it did have some.
That was a little too much bass in that laugh, sorry. But
no in between. It's like I'm either talking to people or I'm not talking for weeks or days.
Well, weeks was kind of right.
Yeah, because we do it primarily. Our talking is actually through texting.
Right.
I think because I do see you more than I see anybody during this time. But like, because of that, a lot of my friends like you that I do see consistently, I don't feel the need to call. because
of
I'm gonna see you.
Yeah.
There are a few that we just primarily, it's better for our scheduling to text more, but like that's probably.
And especially because we know that when we see each other, we're gonna have a sit down and talk and talk and talk and talk. And so there's always that.
Because we don't care who they are. If we got something to talk about, we're gonna talk about it. They'll be like, "Dang, this is the first time I'm meeting you two," and I'm like, "Oh, welcome, hey. Hi, my name is Darius. Sit down. Tell us about your deep child unresolved trauma that you're dealing with at the moment." Like that's literally. I'll never forget. We went to the movies one time to see Mr. Rogers, and like. For some reason, that movie, what was it? The Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood? It unearthed a lot of feelings. And so mind you, we had people that have never hung out together before. And Jenny and I were like, let's sit down. Let's unpack this movie. And we're just going like deep. And these people are looking like, yeah, it was like, and you had to talk. Everybody had to talk because Jenny and I are controlling about our environment. So like everyone had to talk, and they were just like, wow, we've never had like.
But I think they really liked.
Yeah.
They felt. I think one thing that bonds us so well and at our core is we're both really about being genuine.
Yes, that's true.
And in whatever that means. So even at my worst, I'm genuinely still me. It's still genuine, but at my best, I'm genuinely still me. And so I think that might be one of our core tenements.
We love a tenement. I don't know. Yes,
basis of our friendship is just being genuine. So the superficial small talk for me goes out the window really quickly. Hence why
that's a drainer for me, actually.
It really is.
Because I have to think of things to think
or
about.
Just like, okay, cool. I might start off with the small talk, like, yeah, look at this weather.
Yeah, she's better at that than me.
But then we will quickly, within a few minutes, be talking about
unresolved childhood traumas. Like, how do you think taking that introversion as a child? How do you think that impact? Oh yeah, omniversion. As a child, how do you feel like that's impacted your dating and relationship life?
Yes.
Friendships and dating, actually. So.
For sure. I do wonder if maybe my omnivertness leaves some people feeling, especially because I've been getting better about establishing boundaries and letting people know and sharing with them, not so much letting people know, but sharing with them what I'm looking for in an interaction. Why are you laughing at this?
Because Jenny will let people know those boundaries in the first minute. You'll be like, hi, my name is Judy. I do not accept if you do. You'll be like, Judy, they haven't even said their name back yet.
I really do.
You can't set boundaries if we don't know where we are yet. Like, this is true.
But I mean, I'm getting better.
She is.
Now
it's like minute 4 or 5 now, and that's growth. I'm proud of you.
It is growth. Thank you. Reading the hell out of me.
No, it's just...
I need you to.
But I don't set enough boundaries, so it's like.
But I think that's
I'm the
where
opposite
it came
extreme.
from. It came from a place where, as a kid, I didn't have my boundaries. Everyone around me had boundaries, and mine was very reactive to whatever environment. And even as an adult, it started slipping into that as well. And I remember thinking, there has to be more than just reacting to people or reacting to things and then living in other people's
comfort zones.
Yeah, and other people's story. Like we each are. I love this sentence of I forget which movie it's from, but it's you could hear it everywhere. But everyone is a hero of their own story, and I got to the point where at some point, whether hero, villain, whatever, but I wasn't central to my own life, and it was so reactive and I didn't like that as a kid, because it didn't give me an opportunity to figure out who I was or what I wanted and all that good stuff. And I don't like it as an adult. And then as an adult, those boundaries that I would try to establish were, like a lot of people, unfortunately, some boundaries were violated and were taken advantage of. So
do you
for
feel
me,
like you overcorrected, like because you weren't setting them as a youngster?
I think
you overcorrected it when you started doing it.
I think I might, and even now I'm getting better.
She is. I realize she really is. Yo.
But it's still important to me because there's a part of me that just, I'm very rarely wrong about how I feel about someone or what I want in an interaction with someone. Very rarely have I been proven wrong. Not to say it doesn't happen, but very rarely. And the feeling that I don't like is being pressured into something. Like, I don't like, oh, I'm gonna wear you down, and it's like, no, we romanticize this though.
Oh, I can't find that's probably me. Like, I'm the one that's like, oh, you just don't like me right now. But wait.
But the thing is, like, all the movies, everything around music, everything fed us this fairy tale of the right guy, the right person for you is gonna fight for you, and they're gonna continue fighting, and don't worry about how high your walls are. They're gonna knock them down. They're gonna
climb Mount Everest
right.
to get to you.
But then what ends up happening is, sure, maybe you are trying to play hard to get, and that maybe that there is a grain of truth to that. But more oftentimes than not, it's harassment. It low-key just is. It's harassment, and
somebody needed to hear that, and I just wanted to make sure that it got across.
But it's a violation of other people's spaces, and so for me, even as a kid, and the romanticism of whatever, I remember being like, but I don't want to. It always felt like I would be tricking someone into something, and I was like, I don't want someone like that. But then I would still behave in these same ways. But so being an intro or an omnivert, when I was a kid, gave me both experiences. Now that I'm thinking about, now that I know what it means, and I'm thinking about it and looking back, and how it affected my relationships. I mean, I'm every woman. You don't know what you're gonna get with me.
But something you brought up that I was like, oh, I'm curious how this works is how do pairings, introverted, extroverted pairings, work together? Because it's one thing, if you're both an introvert, it's very easy. Like, I think because you have the ability to equally occupy both.
I'll remain single forever because I'm my best company?
No. Like, it's easy because I know you said you don't do this, but I was like, I do think sometimes who we're around can impact us. And because you understand being an introvert, when we're together, it drips me because you're not giving me, I won't say big BD energy, but I'll say big extrovert energy. It's like, it's more so, okay, I can access, I know what it feels like to be this, so I'm not gonna be, it just creates a space where I'm comfortable and you're comfortable. And so it's like, but when someone is the antithesis of what you are, I feel like it can be challenging because what feeds them is what starves you. So
I think, to answer your question, how it pertains to me, I think it's the fact that I need someone to be able to understand at that given moment. It's not like I change my mind every single day. Yeah. No, I think it really relates to the setting and the relationship I have with you to begin with.
Gotcha.
If the setting is, I walk into, like last night I went to a restaurant and had a solo date night.
Outside is closed.
Huh?
Outside is closed. What you doing?
With a mask. By myself. I just said by myself, a solo date at a restaurant.
How y'all flagging this channel?
Restaurants are still open, okay? By myself in the corner booth.
Okay, very good, very good.
But anyways, and it wasn't, and so my talking to, people in a store a few minutes before was different, and then what did I need afterwards was the me time. And I think that I feel like that's more a reflection of people in a relationship that truly understand each other, is you give your partner what they need and what you can give them in that moment. I don't know that it's great to make certain rules, just blanket statements about how I am this and you are that and those are our roles, because I think interactions, there's been moments that you've been hyped.
Oh, yeah,
there's been moments where I've been like, oh my God.
It's not a hard stop. Yeah, it's not like, oh, I can only be this thing,
Exactly. Yeah. And so I really think it's all about understanding your partner and what your partner needs, but first and foremost, you have to understand who you are and what you can give. So if it's incredibly draining for you to be an extrovert, it would be a really difficult interaction, I would imagine, to be with someone. Actually, I've had this interaction. There's, somebody that is so extrovert, is so that I've already, and I told you before, this person would drain me. And so I have to limit my time with them.
It's true. I have to learn, I think from a romantic sense, from a romantic sense, I think it does take understanding. And I think it's just being honest about, hey, it's really not you. It's genuinely me.
Right.
And for me to be my best self for you, I do require time away from you. And I know that can kind of seem harsh, like, oh, you don't want to be around me. And I'm like, no, it's being around you or anyone for extended periods of time makes me start becoming someone I don't want to be.
Exactly.
So I'm doing this, one, for me, but you benefit from me doing it for myself. And I think that's something that I've had to learn and work through, because I would feel bad about it. But now that I recognize it, I'm like, actually, no, this does help
this
you.
This is the best case scenario for both of us, is if we give each other what we need, whether that is space or whether that is being with each other at that given moment, it will only improve things, to be honest. I think so many of my past relationships and friendships and interactions just in general were based on what I should do, how I should react, how I should be. And it's a big reason of why a lot of those felt empty.
Yeah.
Because I was playing a character, and I wasn't who I am at my core.
Yeah.
I never want to play a character in my own personal life. Now, Hollywood, feel free to give us a call.
She is available.
I am.
For all. But you know what? It's funny because my best friend said something that when we had a conversation like this years ago, he said, I know I'm in love when they make me feel like how I feel when I'm alone. In the positive way, because it's similar to me when he's by himself. It's like, it's peaceful.
It can be,
it's like he doesn't feel like he has to perform for people. And I said, honestly, that's true. So it's like, if I can be in your presence, and it's like we just naturally, it's like just naturally you pick up on, oh, we're on our phones right now, or hey, we're reading books right now. We don't have to force interaction.
That is a beautiful, I mean, that I think is what love is. And you find that either in friendships and interactions and relationships as well. I mean, that's the kind of love that I would want. That's the kind of love that I receive from people in my life. Because I don't, anything else for the birds.
I was about to say tweet, but that would have been really horrible. But I think that, like, for me, so
in careers,
taking that, I was gonna say, taking that, what I had to learn though, so I look at relationships and personal life as this is what helps me function optimally. Okay. And that's good. It's kind of like you said, I don't want to play a character in my real life. But when it comes to working or doing stuff,
especially in the public eye,
it requires
our choice to be, our choice in our professions is a tricky one when performing and putting yourself out there isn't as natural. Because to me, one thing that even as an Omnivert, that is still true about me is I don't actually, like, I don't like being the center of attention. I genuinely and truly do not. I find that I can be, because of how gregarious I live.
No, it's like, because I had to think about it, and I was like, I don't notice you often being that, but I remember there are moments when you do it, you catch that you are, and you be like,
and then I retreat.
You serve that thing back like we playing tennis.
And I really do, and it's good. It's been very awkward. My retreats are like, oh shit, why are you all staring at me? Okay, bye.
That's exactly how it goes.
But it's because I genuinely, that isn't something that I'm interested in. But that is in conflict with my chosen path. And that is in conflict with the fact that I love to act. And so it's just like, wait a minute, you don't like to be the center of attention, but you want that lead role. And you want to tell this character's story from their perspective and make it, as authentic and honest as you can.
It's because people have to realize art and being artistic, there's a certain level of self-gratification first. Yes, to a degree, any artist, there is a certain level of arrogance that to be an artist, to say that what I do is good enough that other people to consume, there is an inherent level of arrogance to that. Not in a bad way, it just is. Like, you have to be, to want to share your gifts, it takes that. But it doesn't change the fact that once this moment is over, or even like, I would love the people to connect with people through it, but it's kind of like, but I kind of was just,
I know.
It's like everyone else is a byproduct. Yeah, some people do it for other people to consume because that feeds them. And some people, it's about the art. But then it's like, I want other people to be blessed by it. And that's hard to balance because for me, personally, this is why people confuse me as extroverted. I developed a person. I hate to make it sound like an alter ego thing because I think it's kind of corny. But no, it's like, that sounds like, it comes across corny, but it's like, genuinely, I've done it for so long that it's instinctual.
Well, especially if it was in such a, you were a kid who was really shy and really introverted, but wanted to be on stage.
Exactly.
You need to bridge that gap in some way.
Exactly. So once I got to a place where it's like, I can turn this on to be in front of people, whether it be to speak, whether it be to sing, whether it be to perform, it gives me a place to go up. If I don't have that place to go, it's debilitating. Like I literally can't perform my function. I'm like, who is that gonna serve? It doesn't serve, because we talked about before, getting what you want out of your actions. So I realized having stage fright, being so shy that I can't perform.
It wasn't gonna give you what you wanted.
It wasn't. So I started.
You have to adapt. You have to
change.
It did.
And so, but the problem becomes when people expect that version
or think
of
that
me.
they know you because of a character or because of your music or because of something. You're like, well, that was how I felt in that moment when I wrote that.
And it is an extension though.
Or that was that character's story. And yes, I put myself into these things, but that's one facet of myself.
Exactly.
In one moment. And so for me, I completely agree.
Because I'm always, like, I'm naturally an affable person. I try to be kind and lead with love. But it's like the level of like hypeness that I can have with people like, oh my God, like when I'm in the room and I do feel that call to have to quote unquote perform, people expect that consistently.
Or people think that that's who you are.
Or something's wrong when you're not that person.
Right.
And I'm like, that's when I run. Because sometimes when I'm like drained, and I prefer to be around one person, like Jenny knows me. She knows the facets of my emotional tenor. So I don't have to, I never feel like I'm performing. It's just, we goof and then we're regular. But so many people are introduced to me in my goofy or my more extreme personality that it's like when they meet the normalized version, it's almost a letdown.
Right.
And I don't like, that can be challenging, but I also recognize that the character that I've created to exist successfully.
Well, first of all, you created it, so you had to.
Yeah, I have the right. My therapist said that. He's like, you have the right to change it and edit it along the way as well. And I've noticed it, but it's like, hey, it has done good things for me as well. Because I was like, sometimes I've said, I don't think that I was better. I can't confidently say, oh, somebody else, I was just grander than everyone else, which I never think, but it's like, I know that thankfully when I interact with people in person, sometimes that extroverted version of me does help me get connections that maybe I wouldn't get, that I know I wouldn't get if I was quieter.
In the corner.
And my tendency is to go that way when it's too many people. Like I'm really good. If it's one-on-one, I love interacting with people. But once it gets like, oh, all 10 people are listening to me, it's like...
That's something I relate to too. The bigger the audience, the more like... I start doing this because it makes me feel like I don't know that what I put out is being received in the way that I wanted it to be. And that's something that as an artist, I've had to learn to let go of a little bit more, because you can't be concerned with it. First of all, it's art. It's subjective. It just is. We've had conversations about songs or artists and I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah,
and he's like, I love,
yeah.
I really enjoy this. But, and so you have to let go of expectations for what you put out there. And I don't even think that that's just an artist thing. I think that's a world thing. I think that's a human thing and it's something I'm still struggling and working on, is understanding that my intention could have been one thing. And my goal and how I thought I did something is one way, but then the other person's reception to it could be completely different.
Very true.
And I've had to let go of that need to get them to understand or to like get my point across. It's just, I've enjoyed my life more when you're just
as long as you were respectful, you were clear, and you were direct about your intentions. Your input into the conversation is just that. What they take out of it or how they choose to receive it is a completely different muscle. So I agree. Honestly, this was fun because I don't often get to explain myself, I guess, in depth. So
and I learned something new. The Omnivert thing that's been a revelation. So thank you.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening and chatting with us. And we can't wait to hear back from you. Love you guys. Be blessed.
Bye.